So once again, good afternoon. This is the third episode of Heal the World series, which is dedicated to really taking the time to look inside and understanding that all of changes come from within, right? We are living in a very, difficult, challenging, transformational time. And of course, it's very hard for us to, see how we can immediately change things in our reality. But, throughout my work as a wellness professional and with a lot of people, incredible professionals like Stanzie, that I'm going to introduce to you in a minute, I've been able to really see that it's really about making these shifts internally before you can really expect things to change on the outside. And, these modalities of change are really available to us now. And it's really, incredible that we're able to take advantage of those in these webinars. I've invited 5 really, transformational professionals, and Stanzie has a really incredible technique that I had a chance and an opportunity. I was very lucky to meet her this year and experience it firsthand. Stanzie Langtree is an internationally recognized speaker. She is an energetic healer. She does energy alignment with a very special technique. You might have seen it on the Goop Lab episodes, as popularized, on Netflix. But she has made her technique very, very much more inclusive. It includes the energetic alignment, meditation, sound, healing, and a lot of different modalities that I think are really complementary. I experienced it in the retreats that you were, so graciously held in Brazil. And now Stanzie is in Hawaii, and we're once again really excited to welcome her and get some help through these difficult times to see how we can really transform, all of the different, traumatic experience that we're holding on to in our somatic and in our kind of energetic aura, and how we can let go of those and transform them to really align ourselves with our true selves, creating really incredible shifts. So Stanzie, welcome, and welcome everyone else as well. I'm seeing people from LA, from San Diego, from Hawaii, from Brazil, yay, and more people on Facebook. I'll check with that in a little bit as well. But Stanzie, would you, for those of you that don't know you, you do a much better job of introducing yourself. Please tell us a little bit about, I forgot, you're also a doctor of chiropractic, which is, incredible combination. So you align people both in the body and in the mind, right? And the spiritual realms. Tell us a little bit more about your work, please. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here, and thank you for that wonderful intro. And so I am originally a doctor of chiropractic and started my journey as a traditional chiropractor. I had a practice in Portland, Oregon, in the US, and it was just such a interesting number of events that happened because I was a very scientific person, very into wanting the facts and the research, and then I started to get into this very alternative type of chiropractic technique called network spinal, which is what they've featured in the Goop Lab on Netflix, which was sort of an opening for me to work with people in a more holistic way and to realize that sometimes less is more. So it's a very gentle chiropractic technique. But meanwhile, I was, doing these things in my practice. I was also working on myself, and I had gone through some challenges in my life from when I was young. So I have my own, traumas that I've experienced, and I'll share more about that. And it basically all started kind of coming up and right in my face around the time that I was finishing chiropractic and starting my practice. And so I just took a deep dive into studying myself and healing and releasing that stuff that I knew was holding me back from living a life that I really wanted. And so anyway, when I did that work on myself, I started to get very connected to energy, and I had a lot of visions and downloads on how to work with people energetically. And so then I developed the energetic alignment, which Bella has experienced many times, or a couple times now.
Feels like many times, but
I know, it feels like many
yeah.
It does. And so I developed the energetic alignment, and I just discovered in my practice that the energetic approach was much more powerful than the traditional chiropractic approach. So eventually I moved on from having my practice and started to travel the world and do energetic healing and retreats and seminars and stuff like that. So here we are today, and I'm really excited to share with you guys some things that I think will really help you on your journey wherever you are on that path. And if you've been on the path of healing for a while, you probably know that it seems to always be evolving, right? You might work on one thing and then another thing comes up. So the healing path is
endless, but it's really exciting, right? Once you're on it.
Yeah.
When you see that every step you take, you're able to really not only just reveal something and understand yourself, but really shift things in really almost like a scientific way. It's really incredible. And that's, just when you were saying that, it really rang a bell, because, one of the reasons I decided to do this initiative, right? It's because a war started in Armenia, and for those of us that are going to be, Armenians that are going to be watching us, for everyone, it was a really traumatic event. And it brought up a lot of, things that we experienced in our, in our lifetime, but also ancestrally, right? Like in the genocide and things like that. And, as I started, luckily I have been working with a lot of incredible professionals and myself with, with wellness and energy. And so that really helped me sort of come back, kind of relatively quickly. But I know that a lot of people are really stuck in that really, energetically not a really pretty place to be, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that I know it's possible to shift. And it's almost like, some people think like, well, maybe it's selfish to feel, good with yourself when the world is falling apart, when we have wars. But I really have come to see it as, like kind of in the airplanes when they say you have to really have your mask on first before putting it on others. And that really has been sort of a motto for me. And I really want to share it with, with the world. And like your energetic alignments have done that for me. It's like you have to feel good and be able to sort of, be aligned with what your mission is and what your truth is, and, create that peace internally before you can expect it in the outside world. So.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And that's exactly what, that is the most important thing that we can do. I mean, we have this life that we came onto this planet to live this life in this physical vessel, and a lot of times a lot of people are just sort of looking around, blaming others, waiting for some thing to come and save them, or and ultimately, there comes a point where you realize, oh, time is going by and I'm just sitting, watching it go by. And we have to take charge of our lives and our inner world if we want to see our external world change, whether it means within our communities or globally. So, with all this stuff that's going on in the world, I mean, many challenges in many levels, politically and with COVID and blah, blah, blah. We are really at a time where a lot is coming up. And if you aren't ready to take a look at yourself, or if you're not taking a look at yourself and you're not trying to adapt or to reevaluate, then, this would be a really, really challenging time. So obviously all you guys are here watching and participating in this this initiative. So you guys are probably not just sitting around waiting, which is amazing. But yeah, we have to take responsibility for our lives and start living it according to what we want. But the only way we can do that is by going within and also looking and seeing what's there. So today I'd like to take you guys on a little journey of discovering some things about yourself. And at the end, we'll do a meditation that can maybe help to shift your energy a little bit for the day. Okay? So stay to the end, because the end is going to be really cool. So
just to add, I'm sorry, one last interruption. On your last session, and I won't mention names, but you asked people to make an intention, and then you did the meditation. And I clearly remember the person that made that intention. I know her really well. She's very not into healing and energy work. She doesn't believe in it very much, but she was willing to try it. So when she made that, it was kind of a sort of like letting go of this person that was owing her a lot of money, because it was, like really dragging her down. And I swear 3 days later, she calls me and says, Bella, you won't believe it. The guy gave me all the money back, like completely out of the blue.
wow.
I was like, I told you, this stuff really works. So if you don't believe it, try it out. It might work for you too, but you got to believe in it.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, all you need to do is have the willingness to go there, and then the magic starts to unfold. Well, that's cool. Well, and this is a great example, but that is how powerful energy can make a change in our lives. So, there's a lot of modalities out there to work on your mindset, to meditate, to work on your body. But what I have found is that working with energy is how we can really accelerate change and transformation in a positive direction. And I always like to say, energy is like our superpower. We all have energy. It's all flowing through us. It's what brings life to our bodies. But I wouldn't say very few people, but there aren't a lot of people out there that are really connecting with that energy, working with it, mastering it. And when you do start connecting this energy, you can start to really transform your life, release all the stuff that's getting in the way or blocking you, and start to create a life that's really more in alignment with what you want. So energy is just incredible. So that said, I'd like to talk a little bit about trauma, which is part of the topic for today, and how that actually disconnects us from energy and can block us from what we want in life. All right. So trauma, first of all, trauma is any experience that we haven't accepted. And when we don't accept something, there's a resistance, right? So it could be something as terrible as a physical or sexual violence, right? Where it's like, I don't want that, and it's an assault, and and there's a tension and a resistance, right? Or it could be something as small as an argument that you had with a family member or a partner or somebody or a teacher when you were a kid, that it was just a talking. There was nothing physically or even emotionally abusive, but your experience of it was there was resistance and tension, and you weren't able to fully process and accept what was happening in that moment. And so what happens is, when we are resisting and we're not accepting what's happening, it gets stored in the body. And so trauma is actually a very physical experience. That's why, with PTSD, there's a lot of physical symptoms that go with PTSD. I mean, there's, you know, just there can be anxiety, there can be depression, there can be the having dreams, bad dreams, and all of these things, night terrors, and so many more things. So a trauma could be just a short moment in time, but it gets locked or anchored into the body, and it keeps hanging out there until we deal with it. And so it's basically like a blocked energy, and it's just there. It's kind of like a leech draining your energy. Okay? And what happens is not only is it blocking you inside, but your external reality will reflect that. So an example would be, I'll just share an example of my own. So when I was 7, my mother committed suicide, and so I was a very young girl, and I didn't know how to process that, you know. It was just so unexpected, it was shocking. And so then in that moment, I froze up. I cried for a few minutes, and then that was it. I don't think I cried at all after that. And I just was frozen from age 7 until my early 20s. And it was very hard for me to feel emotion, because that trauma bound up all my energy, and it was just blocked within me. And so then what happened is, because I had that trauma, I was developing negative patterns that were affecting my life. So it was hard for me to trust people. So when I had friends growing up, like, it was hard for me to trust people that I didn't know, or I would sometimes create little dramas with my friends because I would just kind of push people away. And then when I started dating, I ended up manifesting some relationships with men that were always abandoning me, where one moment we would be in this amazing, loving relationship, and then the next moment he would like disappear. I wouldn't hear anything from him, or we'd have one little argument, and then he'd be silent for 3 days, and I'd be like having a meltdown. So that trauma from age 7 then created a lot of dysfunction in my relationships throughout my late teens and early 20s. So I finally started to realize that actually it got this pattern became so big to the point that I ended up in a sort of abusive relationship. I didn't stay in it, luckily, but it got to the point where there was some physical abuse, and I was like, all right, I've got to get out of this, and I got to change something, because I'm not going to let trauma run my life anymore. I'm not going to let negative patterns run my life. So I started to dig in and do all these different types of healing modalities, and go to retreats and seminars to release these patterns, because I saw that they were running my life in a negative way. And I also noticed that it was these patterns, not only did they happen in my life, but I noticed that they were happening within my family. So I know that my mother, before she died, had some of these patterns, and that her sisters also did. So it was the mother's side of my family. So I knew I needed to change this pattern, because I didn't want to have children and have this continue on. I knew it had to end with me. So trauma is something that, unfortunately, it sticks with us and wreaks havoc on our lives until we decide we're going to change it. And trauma is often wrapped up with emotions that have not been expressed. And who here has had a moment where you felt emotions coming up and you just kept it inside, right? I think most people have done this. So a lot of times when we release trauma, we have to also release the emotion that's there, and people, because of cultural conditioning, a lot of people are afraid to express emotion because they don't know what's going to happen. If I cry, am I gonna be okay, you know? So
especially in my culture, so you know, that's something that's very relevant. You know, we're not really, we have to be tough and strong, you know.
exactly.
Both men and women. It's not really like crying for little stupid things is not really, you know, little stupid things is quote unquote, is not really seen as something positive ever. So yeah.
Exactly. So this is part of what we have to do when we're releasing trauma, is also start connecting to our emotions. Okay? And so what happens is when you do healing work to connect with these traumas and release them and release those emotions, all that energy that's been stuck there for years and years starts to free up. So I created this process called the inner liberation process, which Bella has done at the alignments that we had in the past. I created this process to help people quickly connect to these blockages, to release them. And then the amazing thing, coming back to energy, is that when we have more energy flowing in the body, we can then start directing that energy to something positive. And that's how we can get something to shift so quickly, like the example that you mentioned of the person who made the intention about letting go of the money situation, and then all the money came to them in 3 days. So trauma work is not something that people usually want to look at because it can be a bit more intense, but when you do it, the payoff is huge, because that liberation of energy allows for you to create a life that you want quickly and powerfully. So I'm curious with you guys, you've got some of you guys jumping on and joining us here on Zoom, and if you're on Facebook, I can check your comments later, but I'd like to check in with you guys and see, are there any things in your life that you're feeling blocked? Like maybe you're feeling blocked when it comes to making money, or having meaningful relationships, or knowing your purpose, or any sort of resistance or challenge in your life. So you can type it in the chat.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself and jump in.
Okay. I had always problem with in relationship with my mom. We kind of always talking in different surfaces, like parallel surfaces. Never, I mean, she cannot listen to me. Whatever I say, she still stay in her opinion, and I could never convince her in anything. So we end up like, okay, stop talking. I can understand you.
Totally.
And I don't know what she's almost 90 years old. I Till now I have that problem. And
Yeah. Well, I can relate, because my father, who is he is like so the opposite of me, and we have a similar thing in the past where it's like we just cannot talk to each other for too long, because we're talking we're just on different wavelengths or different pages, and so one thing that was interesting for me is I did some work around my relationship with my father on this path of self-work and releasing energy blockages. And it was incredible. Like, I would work on a challenge that came up in relation to him, and I would work on it within myself. And then it was interesting how he would start to become more supportive. So one of the things is that he always, he never really agreed with anything that I ever wanted to do or things that I say. He was always like a skeptic or a questioning, you know, everything. And so it always felt like, you know, frustrating. But then one day I talked to him on the phone and he was like, oh yeah, I mean, what you're doing is so amazing and you're going to be doing this and you'll be doing that and I love what you're doing. And it was just like this completely flip to a different person and dynamic. So just giving you some hope there that I know it can be frustrating, but when you start releasing these energies within yourself, it will shift the dynamics with your mother and for anyone here. Anyone that you have a challenge or a resistance with, you do the work on yourself and they will shift and start to show up differently in relation to you. So this is how we really create harmony and peace, you know, amongst in the world, is that because when we create that within ourselves, then people show up in relation as a result of that. They show up differently. So let's see. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. We've got some
Yeah, we have some comments.
Tatiana said there's some resistance with sexual pleasure. Wow, that's a really good one to bring up. And I think that that can be a really strong one for people in general, because there's so many things that come up around sex, and especially if there's been any sort of abuse, right? So that's something that you can work on and start releasing. And a lot of times with women, energy, traumatic things get stored in the pelvis, in the pelvic floor area. And so when you start to release energy from there, it can liberate your sexual energy. And the thing with sexual energy is that sexual energy is not just, you know, to have fun having sex or to make babies. It's a creative energy that you can channel into manifesting again. So we come back to that manifesting topic of creating the life that you want to live. When you're fully at peace with your sexual energy and can work with it and master it, then you can use that to also, you can use that energy towards what it is you want to manifest into life. So, all right.
At the Embody Institute, we have a really amazing Tao of Sexuality course, like Taoism and sexuality.
Yes.
And for them, yeah, it's an amazing course, but like sexuality and vital energy is one and the same. And so if you have it blocked, then you have it blocked for everything else, like the creativity, like you said, and just anything in life. So it's a very big one.
I think the Taoist approach to sexual energy or Tantra is really a really amazing path to go, because it's so...
For sure, completely.
Jackie, it seems that I've created a pattern that I help friends and they end up betraying me. Can I say that as trauma? Yes. So this feeling of betrayal would be related or anchored into the body somewhere. So at some point, there's probably a moment, maybe as a little, could even be sometimes coming from birth. So we have to go within and look at this stuff. That there was a point where you felt or experienced betrayal and you couldn't deal with it and it got stuck in the body. And so then you start manifesting people who are betraying you all the time. And sometimes with these traumas, we create that reality just with our perception. Like someone could do something very neutral, or they thought they were doing something, you know, that was nice, but you perceived it as a betrayal. So sometimes the traumas lead us to perceive our reality differently, or we actually just manifest these negative patterns like fully in action So I would definitely say that there's a trauma anchor related to this betrayal pattern. So, all right, thanks for sharing, you guys. And the thing is that I remember when I was, starting this whole path of self-discovery, I didn't think I had any trauma. I thought, no, I've never had any trauma. I mean, I've just been.
Something. Hi.
Oh, hello? Sorry, I can't hear you. I think it's frozen. Okay. Yeah?
I think it's my internet.
Oh.
Uy.
Hey.
Danny, I think you have.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
I think it's my internet. I think my internet.
I still can't
Danny,
hear
we
you.
can't really hear you. You wanna write it? You have when you speak, it's like a. No, it's.
So if you can
Yeah,
type it, that would be great.
If you type it, I can read it for everyone.
Bummer. For some reason, your audio is not quite right today, but we'll definitely see what you got in the chat.
Yeah.
So while she's doing that, I'll just finish what I was saying. And so I didn't think I had any trauma. And then one of my friends who is a naturopath, she was like, maybe you should go and talk to this therapist who specializes in trauma. And I was like, what? Trauma? I don't have any trauma. And she's like, well, I mean, you had a lot of challenges at an early age with your mother. And I was like, didn't even think that that would be considered a trauma. And so I went to this therapist who does this, well, a couple of modalities, but they help you to release trauma from the body. And I couldn't believe the stuff that came up. I mean, I went into this woman's office and I was just crying and all these old memories came up. So sometimes we block out the traumas that we've experienced, and that's why I'm asking you guys, where do you see resistance or challenge in your life? Because most likely it's connected to some sort of trauma or energetic block in your body and within you. So Deepak Chopra said something along the lines of, if you would be able to manifest everything you want the moment you think of it, if you could just get yourself out of the way. So it's all of those traumas and negative thoughts and blocked energy of the human experience that slows down the magic of the universe and creating the life we want. All right, Daniela says, do you think we can have traumas from past lives that can bring us difficulty either in relationships, work, or finances? Yeah, so what I have found is when I work with people energetically, I can see like this whole map of their life and their past lives and the lineage that they're connected to. And so I can see where those traumas are anchored also into maybe other parts of their life or past lives. And so when you actually release the trauma and the energetic block, not only do you shift it for this lifetime and into the future, you shift it through the past lives or the lineages. And so for me, when I really took it seriously that I wanted to release and heal myself, it wasn't just because for me, it wasn't just that I wanted to have a better life. I saw it as, I want to shift this pattern, this toxic pattern that has gone through my mother's side of the family. And I want to make sure that if I ever have a family in the future, that there's a new pattern in place. And that was the fuel for me to dig into that really deeply. So yeah, so sometimes there are links into other areas, and then it manifests throughout your life. And that would be karma. That's actually what karma is. So karma is not just like, oh, you do something bad to someone and then bad stuff happens to you. It's actually, karma are the patterns that you carry out through your lifetimes. That, because in yoga and Hinduism, they say that you come back and reincarnate over and over again, pretty much. So anything you haven't resolved in a past life gets carried through into this life, and then we have to work on those things and release them, like what we're talking about.
I think even even scientifically now, they're starting to prove that we have genetic imprints of what our ancestors went through, and it expresses itself in some, in unimaginable ways in our bodies. So if you combine the energetic and the, DNA working together, for sure we're, kind of carrying with us all that baggage that our ancestors lived through, right?
Most definitely. I mean, just on, it's a little complicated, but basically you are carrying the imprint of your grandmother, I think is how it goes. Because so when your grandmother had your mother in the womb, so you have your mother would have all of her eggs already. And so the grandmother's energy is already imprinting on the egg that would then be you later on when you are conceived. So, like my grandmother was working in factories for war plants to create, things for World War II. So she was in, that kind of environment and in a lot of survival and, just getting by. And so that survival energy was carried through my genetics. And so then I would then be born into this world kind of like a fighter and a warrior, which is how I used to be like that growing up. I was all about I'm going to work hard. I'm going to show that I can kick ass. I'm going to achieve. I'm going to be, the best at all my physical activities. So it affects how you are physiology.
But it's just it really resonates, because I was reading this book about, again, going back to Armenians, just because it's the theme of the day, but it's I was reading this book and it was describing us as kind of the fighters and always at the crossroads for all the different invasions from different countries. And throughout history, we had to sort of struggle for our survival. And this is still happening now. But that just means that, it's so much more important for us to look at where is it imprinted in our bodies, because for sure we are carrying, all of us, that fighter. And it's not just Armenians, right? Most of, unfortunately, our ancestry is all about wars and conquest and survival. And so, somewhere deep inside of us, there's hiding the little fighters. And, so if we want peace, we have to somehow let go of that, right?
Yeah. Well, and then on the other side of it, we have epigenetics, which is the science that shows we can actually shift our DNA based on our environment, based on our thinking, and through healthy behaviors and habits, we can actually shift our DNA and not carry on, the patterns of cancer or whatever that supposedly runs through the family.
For sure.
So it's great to see that, okay, well, science says here we got these predetermined things that are going to be stuck with us forever. Oh, but actually we can change them. So it's really great that we've got that. And so that said, that's why it's so important that we take control of our lives and decide what we really want. So that said, how about we go into what is it that you actually want to cultivate in your life? What do you want more of in your life? Go ahead and put that into the chat box. Okay. Okay, abundance, love, peace. What else do you guys want more of? Peace and less violence. Beautiful. Empathy. Patience and love. Beautiful. Okay, so these are the things that we want to create as the new foundation, right, for life. But if we have these energetic blocks, it's like they're sending out signals of fear and scarcity and lack. And then we've got our intentions of, I want love and peace and happiness. So we have to resolve that so all the energy can then funnel towards the positive intentions. And this is something that I have really honed in on and found to be the key to living an abundant life, to have clarity on what you want to do in this life, and to create a life that is more positive and full of love and peace. And so, you know, that's why we're doing this global initiative, is because if more and more people can become more self-aware, even just a little bit, that could create a massive change in this world. And ultimately, you know, there are leaders that are going to step up to do that, like myself and Bella, and there have been many leaders throughout the past who have been catalysts for peace and change. But in the end, we need more people claiming that peace within, so that we can make this shift global throughout the world. So I'm just really grateful that you guys are all here today and sharing in this on this topic and showing up for yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and just want to check my notes, make sure I'm still on track. So we're going to do a meditation pretty soon here, and I want to help you guys to connect to a higher state of energy. So fortunately, I have really mastered working with energy, and I know how to channel it, which is basically like focusing it for you guys to feel and experience. And when we tap into a higher energy state, we're able to have more clarity and start to release those things that no longer align. I'm not going to take you through a full healing process today because it takes a little bit of time. So maybe in the future you can come to an event, or I have an online seminar coming up this weekend. But we're going to at least start raising your energy so you can start to feel what that's like and start getting you onto that path of I would call it self-mastery. Being able to have that mastery of the energy that's within you so you can start living with more peace and being more of your truth. All right? So let's go ahead and let's get started. So you're going to be just seated for this. You're going to have your eyes closed, but try to stay awake, because I will be guiding you and telling you to bring your awareness to certain areas. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and exhale it out. And just breathing in again and exhaling out anything from your day. Letting it go. Maybe you're already starting to feel some stuff come up just from this conversation today. And so just notice that in your body. Are there any areas that feel tense? Or maybe there's some anxiety or fear or stress. And just keep breathing as you take note of what's going on in your body. The first step to healing is to be able to feel. So cultivating this ability to feel is important. So go ahead and put your hands over the area that feels tense or restricted. Or maybe it feels blocked. And if you can't reach that area, then you're just going to really focus on that area with your awareness. And then you're going to breathe into this area, allowing your breath to really activate in this area. So with each breath, allowing yourself to feel here, feel what's here. If emotions are coming up, it's okay. You just let them flow. And just releasing the tension with every exhale. So breathing in, expanding the area with breath, and exhaling out tension. Breathing in, exhaling it out. And this part of yourself that is feeling tense or constricted is also a part of yourself that you have avoided or ignored. It's almost like a part of yourself that's been crying out for help, or maybe wanting to be seen, or wanting to be loved. Maybe it's your younger self wanting to be loved or acknowledged. So breathe into this area, and you're just going to, actually we're going to do a Hawaiian prayer that helps to transform energy. It's called the Ho'oponopono. So you're going to say to this area, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. So we're going to say this quite a few times, and you're going to say it out loud with your hands over that area as you breathe into this area of tension. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Keep saying it. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Really apologizing to this part of yourself that you have abandoned or ignored. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Keep going. If you have emotions that come up, just let them flow. It's okay if you have some tears or sadness. Maybe just embracing that. Maybe for the first time you're embracing this part of yourself and letting it be expressed. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And then take a deep breath in. Exhale it all out. Ha. And now let's welcome this part of yourself back into the rest of your body. So this part has been sort of ignored or avoided, and you're just going to welcome this part back in and say, I'm so sorry I ignored you for so long. I welcome you back, and I love you. Fully embracing this part of yourself. And as you do that, imagine that this energy that was stuck is now becoming light. And place one hand over your heart and allow yourself to breathe into your heart. Allowing your heart to now activate with light and love. And allow this love to flow to this area of disconnect, filling it up with love. So now this part of yourself that has been disconnected is feeling the love of your heart and being welcomed back into the wholeness of your being. Maybe even have a smile on your face, as it feels so nice to get to know yourself more deeply and to reconnect in wholeness. Then bring your hands to your heart. And then just breathing out and sighing out gently. And now let's call on your higher self, the version of you that has unlimited potential, the version of you that is feeling love and connection and abundant, joyful, and allowing for this higher version of you to merge into your physical body here and now. Allow for the energy of your highest self to fill up every cell, activating your DNA, aligning your physical body to your highest expression. And even though your eyes are closed, imagine you're looking up to the sky. Go up beyond the sky into space, beyond the stars and the moon, and go up even higher, all the way up into a white light. Go into this white light and allow your entire body to be filled with white light. Go up a little bit higher, up, up, up. And in this white space, we're connecting to the universe or source. Go ahead and welcome a message. You can say to this white space, what do I need to know today? And just welcome a message. Maybe it's a vision, a thought, a feeling. Just trust whatever comes through first. Now take that message, and if you didn't get a message, that's okay too. Just take some of this white light and allow it to flow down through the top of your head, down through your spine, filling up your physical body here and now. Then feel yourself rooting into the earth, sending some roots from your feet down into the earth, coming back into your body on this planet. Take a breath into your heart, exhale it out, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and write down the message that you received. You're also welcome to share that message in the chat box if you'd like. A lot of hearts and the world love. Beautiful. Oh, and the word love. I was like, a world of love sounds great too.
Did anyone else see something, or everyone fell asleep? Oh, love to see. We were connected in the outer sphere somewhere.
Well, love is the feeling that we have when we connect to source, universe, or divine energy. So it's great that you guys are feeling that. You must be really connecting into that energy, that higher source. Susan, I had that area that I focused release, but it moved in a different area. Oh my goodness. So maybe there's multiple anchor points for whatever it is you're working on. So that's kind of like when I was working on the trauma around losing my mother, I would release something and have like an emotional release, and then I thought I had resolved it. And then like maybe a month later, there may be another thing that came up related to that, and I'd be like, I thought I dealt with that already. So there can be multiple anchor points. So maybe that's just the next piece of the puzzle that you have to go and release. Okay. So today was just a quick little tune in to help you bring awareness to your body and to start feeling what's there, and to also connect with your higher source of energy. And like I said, this is a continual path, because we have a whole lifetime up until this point of conditioning, and influences from external sources and traumas and things like that. So I always say to people, get curious, this is the path of healing. It is ongoing. But what I think is that it's actually a path of getting to know yourself more and more. And so even though it seems like initially like, oh, this is a lot of work to have to connect with these things that I don't want to look at, but every time you have that release, you get a new insight or a clearer knowing of who you are, and you start to catalyze into motion positive, good things in your life. And that just ripples out through the field to all the people we're connected to. Okay, so that said, if there are any last questions, I can answer those really quickly before we jump off. I think we just have an hour for today, so I wanted to be mindful of our time. But I'll take any last questions if you have any. Anybody? Did anyone get any other interesting messages, or did you have some emotions coming up? Did you feel anything?
Jackie says thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jackie.
I'm glad you could be here, Jackie. Thank you for showing up. Because without people showing up, then we don't make the change, right? So
yeah, and I just wanted to say that sometimes these things take like a few, I don't know, like hours, days, or even months sometimes for you to get like the insights of what the energetic alignment brought to you. I definitely had a lot of insights from your retreats, kind of not immediately, but I mean, immediately it was a very amazing experience, but like the day later, I would get really powerful like information and insight. So I'd encourage everyone to kind of stay aware and pay attention to messages that might come up, because it did happen for me. So
That's a good point. Yes, and you know, you guys will be integrating this for the next day or so. So just, yeah, be gentle with yourself, observe if anything's coming up. And of course, if you have any questions or anything, you can always reach out to me. And yeah, and if you are wanting to really dive into this path, I believe I've created some processes that are just really efficient and can really go straight to the point. So you don't have to spend 20 years meditating to start connecting to energy. You can start connecting now and start resolving these things that are holding you back.
and
Cool.
Stanzie, what's your upcoming webinar or event that you mentioned this weekend?
Yeah, so I have a 3-day seminar that I'm doing online. So it's going to be just like if we were having a live seminar, and it will include 2 energetic alignments. So it's going to be very powerful, stacking those processes where I'm channeling healing energy for people there. And then also I'll be taking everyone through the inner liberation process, which we talked about today, as well as other processes to get to know who you are better and start to get some more clarity on purpose and things like that. Sure, I can share the link of the seminar. Let me see if I have it here.
While you're getting that, I wanted also to encourage everyone to, I'm just going to include this link again, sign up for the remaining 3 webinars that we have for the Heal the World initiative. That's going to include some amazing quantum healing. And then we have the modern day alchemist for inner alchemy the week after, and then Akashic records clearing. So I'm really excited about those as well. Don't miss those. They'll be mostly on Tuesdays. One of them is on Wednesday, but if you sign up, you will get the correct schedule. And Stanzie, if you haven't found yours link, you can send it to me and I can post it with the webinar link with the recording and send it to everyone. Or
yeah, I can send it to you as well. I just put it on to the
oh, you did. I saw it. Okay, now I see it. Yeah.
And also you guys could just go to my website directly. It's stanzielangtree.com, and you can find more info there too, and the seminar and whatever else, you know, I have to offer. I've got some other things on there too, like free meditations and stuff like that. So so check it out. Connect with me on social media if you like. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and all of that good stuff. So
yeah, thank you so much, Stanzie. I really appreciate you taking your time to share your wisdom and your healing energy with us. And I would encourage, I'm going to make this recording available. You can go through the meditation as many times as you want, because I think every time it brings up different things. And really to encourage everyone that's following us to also share these webinars, because they, like Stanzie said, I think we need to really do this collectively now and look inside to start shifting things internally and then see the external reality change. So I really appreciate you being there, taking your time, and taking that maybe difficult step at first, but then seeing some really incredible results in the near future.
Yes, exactly. You guys are amazing for being here, showing up. Thank you, Bella, for putting this together and having me here. It's such an honor to share with you all. And I guess until next time. So
definitely.
Lots of love to you all, and have an amazing rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Tachi.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dani.
Bye.